Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast, the show that brings you the latest insights, thought leadership, and stories from across the global mining industry. And today I'm joined by Anthony Vaccaro, who's the president of the Northern Miner Group, which actually includes the Northern Miner, Canadian Mining Journal, and mining.com, some of the most trusted voices in the global mining media. We're going to talk about a truly unique initiative, which is the Great Canadian Treasure Hunt, a national-wide adventure bleeding Canada's love of exploration with its rich mining heritage. Anthony's going to share how the actual idea came about, why it's captured the imagination of so many Canadians, and how it's helping reconnect the public with the importance of mining and its role within the actual modern economy. We're also going to talk about the International Metals Symposium that's coming up in December in London. So let's get straight into it, and that's welcome, Anthony. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rob. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on. How are things with you?
They're very good as well, and I'm really excited to obviously do this podcast, obviously especially talking about the treasure hunt. But first of all, so the audience, because we have audience from all around the world, I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, as I mentioned in the introduction, you're part of obviously the Northern Miner Group. I wonder if you just tell us a little bit about your career, a little bit about your background, so the audience, know a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely, Rob. So I fell backwards a little bit I shouldn't say that. Maybe I fell forwards into the mining sector in the sense that I had no connection to the mining industry whatsoever. But in Toronto, the mining industry has a way of finding you. So I was at journalism school. I did my post-grad work in journalism. I ended up with an internship at Dow Jones Newswire. I was a market reporter. And by far and away, the mining sector was the most exciting sector to cover. So that was my introduction to mining. My job was just to track what stocks were moving that day and see if I could find a story. So I was sector agnostic. But whenever a mining stock moved, I would get that tingle because I knew that it was going to be interesting because mining companies are operating. This is around 2005. So like Robert Friedland was just opening up Mongolia. Eastern Africa was really opening up. The DRC was opening up. South America. There was all these geopolitical issues sound familiar? Interfacing with what the sector was doing. And then you'd get these CEOs on a call and say, I'm from the Dow Jones, and they would just give you the most amazing quotes, and they would just be so open and just so different than other sectors. I would always remind them that they're on record, and they would always say, yeah, I know, it's okay. So as a journalist, it was fantastic. That led to me applying and opening at the Northern Miner, which has been the place of record for the mining industry for over 100 years. And it was a job that would involve going on site visits, traveling the world, seeing mine projects firsthand, boots on the ground kind of journalism. So I jumped on that opportunity. I was lucky I got the job. I did that for almost 10 years. I was a journalist at the Northern Miner, was senior staff reporter. And then you're traveling the world with, analysts and CEOs, and they all have their CFA and their MBA. So I thought, maybe I'll go for that. So weekends and nights I did that, thinking that I would probably end up on Bay Street, but instead the head of the company took early retirement, and I was able to be lucky enough to be at the right place, right time, and was handed the keys to the car. So I've been running this group now for over 10 years. We added a full 100% ownership of mining.com in 2018, which is very, very exciting. So you have this prestige brand of the Northern Miner combined with this massive online presence of mining.com and really great journalism, going a little, sometimes quicker stories, covering more downstream, whereas Northern Miner is a little more upstream. And then, of course, let's not forget Canadian Mining Journal, which is even older than the Northern Miner. It continues to do amazing coverage of developing mines and producing mines, but with a Canadian focus, where Northern Miner, mining.com cover the global world of mining. So that's it in a nutshell, Rob. I hope I didn't put your listeners to sleep, but that's who I am. That's kind of what we're all about. And yeah, we're just charging ahead and loving this bull market in precious metals. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just before we go into a few of the other questions, obviously we've got an international audience, and we get a lot from North America, but those that are not from North America and maybe not necessarily familiar with the Northern Miner and obviously mining.com and Canadian Mining Journal, I just wonder if you just give us a quick snapshot of both of those, or of those three media, just so our audience from
Yeah,
outside of
absolutely.
North America know a little bit about them.
Yeah, thank you. It's funny, for geologists, whether they're from Australia, South Africa, England, they all know the Northern Miner. The Northern Miner travels, even though it's founded in Canada. There is certainly something Canadiana about the Northern Miner, even though we cover international mining. That is for sure. So you're right. I think for the average mining investor or someone new to it, they might not know what the Northern Miner is. The reason why it's lasted 100 years is really, really simple. A Chinese wall between sales and editorial. So we have fantastic journalists that are independent, so they don't get any interference. I run the business. I don't tell them what to write. Sales doesn't tell them what to write. We, of course, have advertising. We, of course, have sponsored ads with disclaimers, sponsored stories with disclaimers, as all modern media outfits do. But if there's no disclaimer, you're reading an independent story written by a highly qualified, top-notch journalist. So that's the big thing. That's the same for mining.com. That's the same for Canadian Mining Journal. And with Northern Miner, as I alluded to earlier, it's long been that more upstream. So where do you want to get good journalism, good reporting about juniors that are very early stage? That's hard to get, right? The Financial Times is not covering the junior mining sector. The Northern Miner is and has been for 100 years. So there's a lot, and we have boots on the ground. We get journalists to go out to sites when possible as well. So that's the big thing. Now, we do cover producers in the Northern Miner as well. We do cover developers. We cover the global mining and metal sector, but it's that upstream coverage that has really been a point of independent upstream coverage. It's really been a point of differentiation for the Northern Miner. Whereas now with mining.com, you're getting some of that, but you're getting more downstream. So we have expertise. We have Frick Ells, who is a renowned writer and editor at mining.com for his prowess and his expertise on battery metals and different uses, more kind of downstream stuff as well as the upstream. So that's kind of the differentiator. Mining.com, a little more downstream, broader in its scope, more stories coming out on mining.com. We have Bloomberg feeding into it. We have Reuters feeding into it, plus independent journalism. So a real powerhouse. And then, as I said, Canadian Mining Journal going straight to the mine sites. Most mine sites in Canada, if you go to one, you'll see a beautiful glossy magazine of Canadian Mining Journal, and real kind of technical expertise with that brand, getting into the nuts and bolts of what it is to develop, build a mine, advanced technologies that are driving it forward. So that's how all three sit. They're very complementary, and each one of them has a very strong brand in its own right.
Yeah. Before we talk about the treasure hunt, you've got an upcoming conference in London, which is the International Metals Symposium, in December. So I just wonder, again, if you can just share with our audience a little bit about what the conference entails, when it is, where it is, etc. Because obviously some of our audience may be interested, if they're not already going, may be interested in attending. So I just wonder if you can just cover that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's unique about this one is the quality of speakers. This Northern Miner brand is very held affectionately by a lot of their industry's great leaders, and they will support it by flying out on their own dime and getting to London to do our symposium. So it's really unique access. We do it at a very, very small venue, 133 Houndsditch, right in the city of London by the Pan Pacific. So great location. It's for qualified investors, I should say. So you do have to qualify as an investor to attend, and then you attend for free. And you're getting Pierre Lassonde will be there this year. He's receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Northern Miner. Clyde Johnson, the founder and CEO of B2 Gold, is receiving the Northern Miners Person of the Year Award. We have Operator of the Year Award, which is going to Bruno Lamelin from I Am Gold. We also are joined by Rick Rule, Rob McEwen, Mark Kudafani. It's a really amazing roster, and then just fantastic junior mining companies that we think are the best offering the best opportunity that was to ride this bull run through. So we have, filtered through about 15 junior mining companies that will be presenting as well. And it's our reporters there that are asking the questions, generating stories out of it. So you kind of get that journalistic integrity and know-how, asking the right questions, and you're getting really amazing access to both the biggest leaders and the kind of what we think are the next great opportunities in the sector. So it's 2 days, November 30th, December 1st. November 30th is a Sunday. Rick Rule is going to open it up with his investment ideas around a Rick Rule breakfast. And then we'll have some fun and share a lot of insights and investment theses over the next couple of days. So that's what's up with that one.
Yeah, great. And we'll include those in the show notes as well, so people can view that. And if they're interested, obviously purchase tickets as well. So we'll include that in the show notes. So, right, let's get straight into the treasure hunt. And obviously we spoke a few months ago and I said to you, I'd love you to come on the podcast and speak about the treasure hunt, which is obviously underway now. So I just wondered if you can just tell our audience and explain a little bit about what the Great Canadian Treasure Hunt is all about and how it actually works.
For sure. It's been a lot of fun. It started with a wild idea from the CEO of our parent company, Denis Laviolette. He had the idea to do the treasure hunt. I'll rewind a little bit, which is kind of cool. At the PDAC, which many of your listeners may have heard of, it's the biggest mining convention in the world. It's in Toronto every year. It's in March. So it coincided with the Northern Miners' 110th anniversary. So we had a nice party, invited a lot of the industry leaders, and a lot of them were there. One of which was Sean Boyd, the chairman of Agnico Eagle. And Sean, we have an archive of all these amazing photos from 110 years of the mining industry. So we blew a few of the really cool ones up, put them up on the wall. And Sean's looking at these and he's like, we don't celebrate the mining heritage in Canada nearly enough. Like, mining was so critical to building Canada up, but I mean, the same obviously applies over in England and America. Mining is foundational to all of our economies, any way you look at it. But in Canada, I think there's a stronger, probably closer connection. So, but he just wanted to make sure that Canadians were aware of that. So he came to myself and to Denny and said, the Northern Mining, you guys are great at narrative and thinking of and crafting narrative. Can you think of a cool idea that we could get Canadians excited about this sector and all that it's done? So we kind of went away, and then he had the light bulb moment, and he came into my office a couple days later, and he said, I got a crazy idea. It's a treasure hunt. We need to do a treasure hunt. We take the clues for the treasure. We embed them in stories about the sector so people are motivated to learn about the sector because they want to get the clues. But in doing that, they're learning and they're educating themselves on not only the history, which is amazing. There's so many great stories about mineral finds in this country, but also the present, how much it contributes to our economy now, how many great job opportunities, high earning job opportunities there are, and the future, right? So the sovereignty of Canada, Canadians' understanding, is linked to our mineral wealth and our ability to get these minerals out of the ground. And also, as we go more electric, that obviously your listeners are well aware with that thesis, and that means more metals as well. So we thought it was an opportune time to do it. We didn't know how it would go. We jumped in with both feet, and we just blasted this out to as many Canadians as we could. We crafted the best stories that we could. And lo and behold, it's bloody well taken off. We've reached well over 1 million Canadians. We know that over 60,000 have officially signed up. You don't even have to officially sign up. We'll make that very clear. You can just read the clues and go find it. But if you sign up, it's in your best interest because you get an extra clue and you're on the email list and you get updates and that sort of thing. So over 60,000 people did that. Over 200,000 people have been on that website, individual users, not repeat. So we've hit the general media. I've been reached out to by TV and radio and the general media here in Canada. And people are just loving the story. They're getting really excited. We already had our first winner. We had someone find 6 1-ounce gold coins, so worth over $30,000. A woman in Yukon went out in her car with her little kids, and they found it. They found the treasure chest. Once you find the treasure chest, there's a code. You tell us the code, and we give you the coins. And there's another 11 of those ones. And then there's the Grand Poobah, which is 217 gold coins. That was provided by Agnico Eagle, Sean Boyd. Yeah, that's worth over $1 million, worth $1.1 million. That's still out there somewhere. You got to read the poems, read the clues, try to figure it out. It's beyond me. I don't know where they are. We got a third party group handling the hiding and the clues. And they're not easy, nor should they be. It's over $1 million
Yeah.
out there. You got to put your thinking cap on.
And why do you think this treasure hunt has captured the attention of so many Canadians so far? And hopefully, coming on this podcast, we can even add some more to the list. But what's captured the attention of the public by having this treasure hunt?
Yeah, I think it speaks to that there is something fundamental about gold and its emotional, a human being's emotional reaction to gold. So there's enough, people could Google, there's enough rational arguments out there why, oh, we should just leave gold in the ground and all this sort of stuff. And that just ignores the fact that there is a fundamental human drive to hold gold, right? That physical, the world, we know as human beings on some level that the world's a crazy place. Things get crazy. Things go really bad. Things get really good. But gold is the thing that for thousands of years has been the store of wealth. It's helped people escape really dicey political situations where their lives might be at risk. It's helped people maintain their wealth when their local economy or their country's economy collapses around them. So I do find this preposterous when people say this because they're just so ignorant to what's happened and so privileged that they don't realize how the value and the important role that gold plays in preserving hardworking people's wealth and what they build up. So I think we've tapped into that. I really do. And I think we were good at just stripping away the rational arguments. The mining industry is very good at making rational arguments to people as to why this sector is so important, how vital metals are to everything that you touch in the world that isn't the forest, the non-natural world. Everything in civilization is metal related, right? It's either got metal in it or it was made using metal and transported using metal. So we make that rational argument, but it doesn't always resonate. With the treasure hunt, we strip that all away. We said we're going to go with an emotional connector. People love treasure. People, when they're put in front of it, love gold. Some people might be in denial about it, but then you put the opportunity for 217 gold coins in front of them. Guess what? They love it. They want it. They're mesmerized by it. We see it. So when you just distill it down to that emotional reaction and connection that is innate in us, I think that's been the thing. I think that's been the secret sauce. That's what's allowed us to reach over 1 million Canadians and we see it in chat rooms on Reddit and on X and on Instagram. People are absolutely loving it. I mean, we have sore losers as well, right? Someone found a treasure in Yukon. A bunch of other people went out there and didn't find it. Those people aren't as happy. But hey, we got to be good sports people, everyone. So when someone wins it, congratulate, tip your hat, and go try to find the next treasure.
Yeah, especially with the price of gold just continuing to rise as well. I suppose that's giving a bit of an added flavour to the treasure hunt.
Boy,
So
we just
maybe
got
when
lucky on that one, Rob. We got lucky on
yeah,
that one.
I was going to say when you started, what was the price of gold when you started to currently at the moment? I might
Yeah,
maybe at the time of
32.
record.
I think it's on the website. I think 32, maybe it was 33.
Right.
So yeah, it had started, but hasn't done anything that it did. So I think that's why we said 1 million. So sorry, 1 million just for the Agnico sponsored portion. So that one treasure with 217 gold coins. That one we were saying we marketed it as $1 million worth of gold coins because in May that's what it was.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now it's worth over, you got like an extra over 100 grand just as
yeah, yeah,
just because, right?
yeah,
So pretty cool, pretty cool.
yeah. And how do you think the actual treasure hunt will educate Canadians about the importance of mining and obviously the country's rich mining history?
Yeah, I think, well, we're starting with the history for sure. So the 12, and this was a really cool idea. It actually originated from a friend and one of our sponsors at EY, Tio Yamiago. He's the head of global mining for EY. And I was talking to him about the idea, and then it was just this big treasure. And he said, it'd be cool if you guys did like regional treasures to really engage with people within the cities and towns. That's an amazing idea. And then Eric Sprott stepped up. So through Sprott Money, they sponsored more gold coins so that we could do that. So those ones are really, really cool. And that's allowing us to do stories about specific areas. So the first one was on the Klondike Gold Rush. So the Klondike Gold Rush is just an amazing story, right? And if you go to the Northern Miner, type in Klondike or go to treasure.northernminer.com, we're posting all the collateral there so you can read this fantastic story about how gold was first discovered there and the individuals behind it. And then there was clues embedded in it, and that's how the treasure was found. But we're going to continue to do that. So we have 11 more to go. So we're going to do places like the next one that's going to be announced very soon. I can't say it. It's going to be announced in a couple of days, but we're going to announce the next place, and there'll be 10 more. And in these cases, we say the treasure is in this town or jurisdiction or municipality. Here's a story about why this jurisdiction is relevant in the history of mining in Canada. And there's clues in there, go find it. So it keeps it going. But as we do that, we're also going to putting out more stories around what the mining industry is doing on community relations, what's it's doing on environmental stewardship. Those will have clues peppered in as well. So people are motivated to read that and to learn about the sector. And then, of course, the final really important piece, what does mining mean to all of our futures, right? In terms of, again, economic strength, sovereignty, job opportunity for young people. So we're going to be covering it all, or trying to anyway.
Yeah. And is the treasure hunt aimed at anyone in particular, or is it just really any Canadians that are interested in mining, maybe interested in puzzles, or interested in gold? Is it aimed at anyone? And as you mentioned, are you getting people traveling like interstate for
Yeah.
these?
Yeah,
For
this
these?
is a great question. These are
Okay.
important
Yeah.
points. These are important points. So it was aimed the most broad we could, just the average Canadian, general Canadians, right? Just come
Yeah.
out and get outside and enjoy the adventure. Even if you don't find the treasure, you're going to get out, you're going to see more of the country. You're going to have hopefully a fun thing either to do for yourself or with your family and friends. Who doesn't love a treasure hunt? So generally everybody, now you have to be 18 to do it. But we weren't really fully satisfied with that because we want young people to get excited as well. So we reached out to our friends at Mining Matters, who is an amazing nonprofit here in Canada that goes into the school systems, tries to educate young people about the importance of mining. And they just love the idea. So Mining Matters, connected to the treasure hunt, is doing prizes for people under 18. And they're coming up with their own clues, their own puzzles, and that's going to be rolled out in the coming weeks. And yeah, so young people that are under 18, they get like things that people under 18 want to get, PS5 and Nintendo Switch 2 and Apple Watches and the cool stuff, right? Stuff that's too cool for me. So they're gonna have age appropriate prizes, and they're gonna be really engaged as well. And the final point, yes, like people are getting out there and seeing the country, and we're getting great comments from people saying, "This is awesome. I didn't know about the mining industry. I'm learning about it. I didn't realize that we had these cool places like Dawson City. The first one was Dawson City for the Klondike." So anyone that went out there, yeah, they didn't, only one person found the treasure, but other people got to see how amazing. If anyone hasn't been to Dawson City, it's hard to get to. I'm privileged in this mining industry that I went there for mining once. What an amazing part of the world, like incredible. And there's other great mining districts in Canada like that we'll be highlighting through this program and encouraging people to, yeah, get out there and see it. Because when you see it, you start to realize this image that maybe I had growing up in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, the mining is all dirty and terrible. No, no, like Sudbury is a mining city and it's beautiful. It was environmentally damaged in the past, so we're not putting rose petal glasses on. They reclaimed it. They made it, the smelting and the mining that's going on is being done in an environmentally responsible way. And it's a beautiful city now with clean air. And so we want people to see that, right? We want people to go to these places and see what modern mining looks like and what these cool historic towns look like, because it's pretty awesome. And I think will trigger a lot more pride in this industry. Seeing is believing, right? Then you're not just, a victim of what other special interest groups are saying about a sector when they know nothing about it.
Yeah. And I can imagine a lot of people listening to this episode from all over the world may be asking, is this open just to Canadians, or can international visitors who may be visiting or may want a holiday in Canada, over the coming months, could they get involved?
So
Or is
I,
it
I,
only
I
just
want
over
to
to
just really make
Canada's?
it clear to your viewers that we did not have a pre-interview. So normally when I do
Okay.
these, I have a pre-interview. Rob and I did not do a pre-interview, but these are the best questions I've gotten yet. These are great.
I'm just,
Well,
because I'm
you're
just
hitting
thinking
stuff
that,
that I'm forgetting that's really important. So that's
yeah,
very
yeah.
important. And I would have forgot because there's so much about this. So the short answer, unfortunately, is no. That's the short answer. It's for Canadian, because we looked into it. We wanted the whole world to be here, of course. But we looked into the legalities of if you find gold in Canada, how are you going to get back to your country of origin? And it's a nightmare. So he said, unfortunately, it's for Canadian citizens, but there is a but. The World Gold Council love this idea. They're supporting it. We thank the World Gold Council greatly for the support. Would not be possible without any of the support. I've mentioned Agnico and Sprott Money. I also want to mention Alamos Gold, Kinross, I Am Gold, EY, and McEwen Incorporated as well, because without the sponsors, we couldn't do this amazing thing that we are doing. But the World Gold Council came in and said, listen, we're the World Gold Council. We get how important Canada is. It's a great initiative. We think it's amazing. But could we come up with something where we do something a little more international? So what we came up with, and this is going to be rolled out in the coming weeks as well, we're going to roll out a separate site that you can get to from the treasure.northernminer.com site. And it's for international students. So it's not for everybody yet, but it's international students. And international students will have a chance to win, again, quizzes, games, sort of fun stuff like that. And if you get it, you get a free trip, all expenses paid, to Toronto or Vancouver. We're going to land on what that is for either the PDAC or the CIM. So these two very important mining conferences. You get to come to a great city. You get to get put up at a hotel, have some great meals, and learn more about the sector. So that is with the support of the World Gold Council. And I do think, Rob, that now it's been successful. We've proven that there's an appetite for this and that it's working. We love the idea of rolling this out internationally. You'd have to go country by country, but
Yeah.
we kind of have a template now, and I think we gotta keep going.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next question, because I can imagine people listening to this and saying, why can't we have it in our country? I meant, for instance, Australia. It'd be great to have something like that there. It'd be
Yeah,
great to have something like that here in the UK, where mining used to be an industry, has obviously been gone, but now sort of having a little bit of a resurgence.
yes,
It'd be great to roll it out, and plus any other country around the world where mining is really important. Mining is important to every country, but a lot of people within those countries may not know hardly anything about mining, especially here in the UK.
that's
Um,
right.
but by having something like this rolling out in each country or certain countries, it's just going to improve that awareness among the public. And I think it's a great initiative. So
I think
yeah,
you're absolutely right.
that was my next question. Where else are you going to go
Yeah,
next?
well, I think you've hit the two kind of logical ones, South Africa as well. I mean, you look at and the logical place to start. What are the really key countries in terms of at least generating the finance? Because mineral deposits occur where they deposit. But what are the countries that are consistently not only financing it, but all the expertise that goes with that finance as well, right? All the due diligence, all of that is so, so critical. So, you got Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, then you got London, you got Joburg and Cape Town, and you got Perth, Sydney, and Melbourne, right? Those are the big ones. Those are the main ones. Outside of Asia, of course, Asia is very
Yeah.
important as well. But those would be the kind of logical places to go. And I think your point about Australia, there's an awareness of the mining sector. They sometimes have an emotional negative reaction. So giving people an emotional positive association, I think would play very
Mm.
well. But the UK is interesting. I always think I was coming for our conference, our symposium. I come every year to London and love London. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I lived there for a year after university. And I was getting off, and the border patrol person was like, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Mining conference." He said, "Really? Here in London, mining?" And he was a really nice guy. So it was like relaxed. And we just started talking. I said, yeah, like London is a critical finance. It's a finance capital for mining as well as many other things. And he had no idea. And he was fascinated by it. He wasn't put off by it. He was like, oh, mining. He was like, kind of felt proud. He's like, really? So we're important in mining. And I walked away going like, wow, like that's an opportunity, right? That's an opportunity. This is a critical sector. It's getting more in the front of consciousness. Again, I'm sure in the UK with what's going on with Russia. Where does all the stuff that we need to do the things we want to do in civilization or to protect our countries, where does it come from? One sector, right? One sector. So I think there's an opening right now in public consciousness about, hey, wait a second, this mining thing actually still matters. So how do we step into that opening? How do we further that along? And a treasure hunt's a great, fun way to do it. And who doesn't like having fun, right?
Yeah,
Rather than
yeah,
being browbeaten with why our sector is so important.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it'd be great here in the UK because it will waken a lot of people up to mining and especially really understanding where computers, phones, etc. come from. And then just to understand that, and there is minerals here and metals here in the UK. Not obviously not comparable to Canada, but there is stuff here
Absolutely.
which needs to be mined and had been mined hundreds of years ago, but obviously not recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be great.
I think people in the UK would be even more pleasantly surprised and shocked to learn about their history because it is deeper in the past than in Canada. So reawakening some of those stories about the UK's mining heritage would be pretty fun.
So I just want to ask a few questions around the mining heritage. So why is it important to root this treasure hunt in Canadians' mining heritage?
I just think that's kind of the foundation, right? I think if you're wanting to get people to appreciate and get excited about the opportunities of the sector and how important it is to going forward, I think a really good place to start is an understanding and appreciation for what the sector has done to get Canada and the world to the spot that it's in right now, right? Somehow along the lines, although we defined the emergence of civilization out of the Stone Age in metallic terms, right? The Iron Age, the Copper Age, the Bronze Age. We somehow, as a society, got totally disconnected from that. So we've arrived at a point where we forget where we've come from and we take for granted all the things that we have in civilization, but not realizing that there is no civilization without metal. Like it's the most fundamental thing to everything that we enjoy and everything that we would go crazy if we had to live without for 10 minutes. Right. So I think starting with the past is a really good way to do that. It's foundational. It's exciting. Who doesn't love history when told well? We're blessed with some amazing journalists and writers that are helping to contribute to the crafting of these historical stories that then this third party takes and embeds their clues in without us knowing what the heck's really going on there. But they're fantastic stories. And I alluded to it earlier that part of what started this whole process was Sean Boyd seeing these historic photos from our archive up on a wall. We have some incredible, incredible things. And you look at these photos that we have, and again, we'll be rolling them out. We're currently going through the process of digitizing them all. So we'll have some kind of photo library coming out maybe in the year ahead. You can't help but to see these things and read these stories and feel excited about it. There's something, again, very visceral about people pulling wealth out of the ground and what they had to endure to do it, and this frontier attitude, the hardships that people had to go through to find these mineral bodies, right? Is incredible stuff. These are amazing adventure stories and tales of overcoming hardship and all these things that just fundamentally connect with people. They're in the mining sector. It's just about bringing them forward. So
Yeah. And how do you see the hunt sparking broader conversations about the importance of mining and precious metals and critical minerals, obviously during the hunt and when the hunt's actually fully completed?
yeah, we're already starting to see it. Like especially Reddit's great for that. So there's these Reddit groups that have popped up, and they're having a lot of conversations around how to find the treasures, but also what they're learning about. So we are already seeing that. But listen, it's just one of these things where when people get engaged, it is a hook. The hook is the treasure. But what if you're onto that hook, what you can kind of put around that and what that can take you through, not only the mining heritage, but again, also getting outside, right? These are real treasure boxes, real physical treasure boxes somewhere out there, right? So you got to get outside and do it. That's just a lot of positive things get going in that process. That yeah, it's resonating with people, right? It really is resonating. And people, once you have that emotional connector again, and the history I think is a supports that emotional reaction, then conversations about what mining means to the present day economy and to our future state, they're more fruitful conversations, right? Now people are coming at it from an understanding. They're not coming at it from, oh, I don't like mining. Oh, mining is dirty. Therefore, I don't even want to hear about how it's important to our sovereignty, our greener future. But when you're coming at it from a point of, oh, I have a positive association. Yeah, mining industry.
Mm.
They did a treasure hunt, and I learned about some cool treasure find in the Klondike from 100 years ago, right? Then you're a little bit more favorably disposed to receive a message. And if you disagree with it, that's fine. If you don't get your issues with it, that's totally fine. But if we can get people into at least a more positive frame of mind where they can at least maybe listen and open up their minds a bit, I think mission accomplished.
Yeah, certainly. And what can participants expect from obviously future clues and bonus prizes as the treasure hunt obviously continues?
Yeah, so one a month. So one regional, that big 1.1 million now is out there somewhere. So you go to treasure.northernminer.com. There's a poem. It's a long-ish poem, really interesting to read. It's just well written. That poem actually has everything you need to find the million, but it's hard. It's hard, and AI is not going to solve it for you, right? So then there's going to be other clues coming out to help supplement that. So it's not like it's just the poem and that's it, we're done. No, there's more clues coming for both the one a month, 6 gold coins, right? So those regional ones I've been talking about, that's a total of 12, 6 coins for each, 30,000 for each. So in addition to the clues for that, there's going to be more clues about the $1 million prize as well, which we've already released more clues about it as well. So that's kind of the cadence of it. So over 12 months, we know that there'll be a different regional one each month. And then hopefully someone finds that $1.1 million ones within that time frame as well. And if they don't, we'll just extend it. We'll roll it over. We'll ramp up more clues. Someone's finding this treasure. We want it found. This wasn't hidden so that no one would find it. This is hidden so someone finds it, right? It's
Yeah.
gold from Detour Lake, Agnico Eagle's Detour Lake mine. It's Canadian gold. It was mined, poured, and minted all in Canada. It's so cool. We are excited to hand it over to the winner. So someone's going to
Yeah.
find it. We hope within 12 months.
And lastly, if any Canadians are listening, because I'm going to get people to share this episode with people, not just people in the mining industry, but people outside of our mining industry. If there's any Canadians listening and they're sort of deciding whether to enter, whether to get involved, why should they get involved? Apart from maybe winning some gold, but
But
why should
isn't
they
that
get
enough?
involved?
Maybe it's enough just that, wouldn't you like $1.1 million? But I mean, beyond that, I do think, I mean, you've done an excellent job teasing it out, Rob. I mean, I think that, as Socrates said, everybody inherently is born in this world wanting to learn, right? So there is that. This is really cool articles and videos that are teaching you about an important part of Canada's history in this case, but we'll try and roll it out in the UK and Australia as well. And I think people naturally gravitate towards that, right? People want to hear with the stories told well, which it is. People want that. People like to educate themselves and to get a broader knowledge of a country and of a sector, and this provides it.
Yeah, certainly. Well, really appreciate your time, Anthony. Thank you very much for obviously sharing your journey. Speaking about the obviously International Metals Symposium that's coming up in December, and obviously the treasure hunt. And we're going to include all of those in the show notes for people to get easy access and obviously get involved. So really appreciate your time. Perhaps you want to come on the podcast next year when we're further down the treasure hunt, or even once it's completed, and you can give us a dig dive over how the whole treasure hunt went from start to finish. So all the best with it, and we'll speak soon.
That sounds amazing. Thanks so much, Rob. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining in and listening to this episode. As always, appreciate you sharing these episodes far and wide, and this episode should be shared amongst every Canadian that you know. So please keep sharing these episodes far and wide. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.